Okay, today we're going to be replacing a 2000 Subaru Outback EJ25 single overhead cam timing belt. First off, you're going to want to find out if your car is single overhead cam or dual overhead cam, and let me show you. So after you get the hood up, you look down here, and if you see a big single indent, you know you should have a single overhead cam. Let me show you what a dual overhead cam looks like. This is a 1998 Legacy Outback, and as you can see, there's two indents right here. It is obviously much wider. Also, you could just take this timing belt cover off and see if there is two sprockets versus one, but it should be easy to tell just by looking at the cover. Next, you're going to want to get the correct timing belt itself. There's a difference between the automatic and manual. Only difference being the water pump is different for each kind. So once you figure out those two things, you can get the proper timing belt and then continue. Tools you're going to need is a breaker bar, a torque wrench, ratchets, and sockets. So you're going to need a 12 millimeter, 14 millimeter, 17 for the cam gear, and then you're going to need a 22 millimeter for the crank pulley. If you don't have that, then the metric version would be 7/8. This works just fine. It has little bit of play, very little, but I've used it numerous times and it hasn't stripped out yet. So if you're in a pinch, you got this. And for my timing belt, I just have the belt. I've already done the components and used the old belt. Don't know why, but I did. So I'm going to be just doing the belt, and I'm going to be skipping a few steps and doing it differently than you would otherwise. For starters, I'm not going to be taking out the radiator. I'm going to leave it in. It's going to be fun working around it, but I'll manage. I have this pin because I have to retension the tensioner, and to tension it, I have this. I think it's a C-clamp, so I'm going to be using that. Also, a Subaru specific cam or crank holder. So you thread those into these holes, and then you can insert it into those 4 holes on the crank pulley, and then it holds in place while you break the bolt loose or torque it, either way. Also, this isn't necessary, but I have it, so I'm going to use it. Also, other stuff you could use is power tools, but I'm just going to do it all by hand. First things first, we're going to take these accessory belts off. Obviously, one is off because my AC compressor doesn't work, so I just have to do this, but I do have the tensioner for this, so I will show how to do it. For this, you have to bust that bolt loose, and then that one, and then you'll drive this down, and the alternator will fall. The alternator is the tensioner on it. Okay, so for this one, it will be right here. These 2 holes will line up right there, and this tensioner will be downwards. You're going to want to crack the nut that is on this one, and then just drive that downwards, or upwards actually, and then it'll untension the belt. However, I don't use it because that doesn't work. Okay, so I have these 2 loose. Now, as you can see, when you do this, well, if I can just aim this right, it is slowly dropping the alternator down. And then you just give it some good love wax, and it's starting to untension. Just keep doing that, and eventually you can get the belt right off. Okay, untensioned enough to pull this off, and then there you go. If you get them mixed up, just look at the ribs. You can see there's 4 indents on here, and there's 4 right here, as to where this has 3. So, easy way. Next step is going to be getting this coolant reservoir out, because this bolt for the fan is really, there's no way to get to it. So I'm gonna have to take this off, and then take this off, and these off, and then the fans will come out after you unclip them. And yeah. Okay, I have the reservoir off, so now we just need to take off these two bolts for this fan, and then these two for this one. Unclip them from the bottom, and then finagle them out, because I am not replacing the water pump, so I'm not going to drain the coolant. I'm going to have to work around this coolant hose. So, fun. Now with the bolts out, you can finagle it out. And you might want to be careful so you don't dent your radiator or pull something out of place, etc. And shit, I forgot. Oh, and I pulled something out of place. Look at that. Okay, so I tugged on this thinking I was unclipping it right, and it popped out. These two things will pop out. These two connectors, and there's only one way to shove them back in, I have found out. So if that happens, don't stress it. But what you want to do is look at the fan side of connectors, and this little tab you want to pull up and then pull out. That's how you do it, so you don't mess it up. Anyways, they're both out, so we're good. Now here's where the fun begins. I'm gonna have to take this crank harmonic balancer off, and then the timing belt. It comes in two pieces. There's this smaller piece on the right side, so you can actually check the timing belt, and then the rest of the way. So let me try to get the harmonic balancer off. The tool is very cool. You just thread these into the bar, and then you plug those into the harmonic balancer, and then you, if I can get a good angle, ooh, this would be a good shot. Wait. Oh, okay. Wait, I'm way off. And then you can hold it and then crack it loose. Oh dang. Really tighten this on. And then it's loose. I do recall saying I was going to do it all by hand, but I do recall that I am a liar, so. After it doesn't thread out anymore, pull it out, put it somewhere safe so that you won't lose it. And then, if it's really on there, you're going to have to take a mallet to it maybe, or use a crank puller. However, this one is still good, so I just have to slowly wiggle it out. You can see the gap between this and this. It's slowly getting wider, and there you go, all good. Could use a little bit of cleaning. A lot of cleaning, actually. I don't know, I get the timing area. Anyways, now I just have to take off the timing cover. So, let's go. Okay, so with the bolts off, you just pull this off and you can check your timing belt. As you can see, not looking terrible, but not new. So I'm gonna replace it. Also, it feels really grimy. But that's how you check it if you were unaware of its current condition. And then you just you take off the bolts all around that surround it, and then it comes right off. Alright, we removed the main timing cover. There's a big crack in it, so I'm assuming that's how all the gunk got in. Also, some other stuff. This is right where this is, and this has some stuff scored off of it, and I don't know where that would correlate. Oh, right here. Weird. Maybe this timing kit was not right, but it works. So, anyways, like I said, I'm just replacing the belt, so everything else is staying. Well, these are staying on after I get the belt on. I still have to take them off to get the new belt on. And I have to take, well, only ones I have to take off is these two and this. That's it, because I don't have to replace this, and also don't have to replace that. So let's do it. So there's a lot of grime. There's just a lot of grime behind here, and it's kind of gross. Don't know what that's from. If you know, please tell me, but I have no clue. Anyways, so you're gonna want to put the crank bolt back into the crank sprocket and then tighten it all the way down until you can no longer I tried to clean it off as best as I can, and this will have to do. You can see right inside where that white is, there's a mark, a tick, and you're gonna want to line that up with this tick right above it, right there. Then you want to line the tick on the cam sprocket with that. I am slightly forward, so I have to go back a bit. So I have to go back a bit. Ooh, yeah. This I don't think has a mark to show you where to go and make sure the ticks are upwards. This one doesn't really have a spot where you can see. My assumption would be that indent where the block starts to indent, the head starts to indent. I would just line that up. If that doesn't line up with these ones, just make sure these are lined up and that this one is facing upwards, straight up, and then you're good. The next step will be taking off all of these idlers and pulleys. Take off that one first, then that one, and then go for the tensioner, then this one, and then the water pump. There's going to be 5 bolts around it. I believe it's 10 millimeter in size, and then it should come off. You replace it. Make sure you drain the coolant though, if you are taking this off and taking this off. I don't have to replace, I'm not replacing the water pump, so I don't have to drain it. So I'm kind of skipping steps. I'm like that one kid in your class who's always peeking over your shoulders to get your answers. And believe me, I'm getting those answers. So this is going to be a 14 millimeter for all these. Oh man. Okay, that one's off. Look at that. Still looks decently dirty. Okay, I have the 2 off that I said I was going to take off and the tensioner. Now the belt will just come off and out of here. And yeah, I mean, this thing is getting old, it's getting thin. For reference, those look just about the same, but this one is a little bit thicker. Anyways, I think my water pump is leaking because there's a lot of coolant on this. There's a lot of that gunk on here, and it smells like coolant. Also, I took this into my brother's shop. Shout out to Tark. He said that his coworker said that it seems like this is leaking, and I'm kind of inclined to agree. Wait a second. That bolt is missing. Maybe we're onto something here. So I do believe that the water pump is leaking. However, I don't have a replacement for it, and I kind of need this to get to Sutherland for fire season when that kicks off. It works before, and it's been working for what, about a year now. I haven't changed it since. So when I get back, I'll have to buy a new timing belt kit. But for now, I have to retension it with this. And when you are retensioning it, go slow so that it, well, I don't know why, but I've heard before that you have to go slow. So I'm doing that. And make sure you have one of these grenade pin type things to stick through that hole. Also stick it on the right way. Make sure that this is facing outwards. That's where you would stick it through, is the hole on this side. Because believe it or not, had it installed backwards one time, put it on, you can't get it out. So slowly collapse it, put the pin in, and you're good. You're retension. Now let's install it. So we're first gonna put this on, then I'm gonna put the splined one on, then I'm gonna make sure that it's still in time. Right now it looks like it is. That looks actually perfect. Maybe slightly off, just barely. And then I'll route the belt. Put the belt on, then I'll put these ones on. You want to put this one on last because it makes it easier. This one's the topper one, the uppermost one. So this one will be the last one at the very bottom. Hold on. Whew, I forget how much I hate doing this, but it is kind of a struggle, but it is doable. For me, when the engine is out, it is 10 out of 10 easier. It is 10 out of 10 level of easy. This is like, I don't know, I give it a 3. Like this, I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. Like I watch YouTube videos, I've seen mechanics do it. I don't know how I'm not doing it the way that they do it. But anyways, it's in. I pulled the pin on the tensioner. Here's the pin over here. I've waited a couple seconds, let it sit and tension itself. Now I have to put this crank pulley bolt back in and spin it around, see if it's still good. If it's off, then I gotta redo it again. I mean, I've literally had to take it off 7 times because the tooth kept going too far this way. This one went over this way. I don't know. I feel like I'm doing it right. And every video I watch, they do it the exact same way. Tell me how to do it. I still do it wrong. I don't know. Maybe it's just this D&J belt, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. Okay, now we gotta torque them all down. Don't hit this one. You wanna hit this one for the tensioner. Torque them all down to 29 foot-pounds. Because this one is specifically 29, this one is 26 to like 32, I think, something like that. So torque them all down, and then we can put the timing cover back on. After you torque down the idlers, then you can put on the timing cover, bolt them up. I shouldn't have used a power tool because I totally broke this. Now I have to zip tie it shut. And the only other option is down there. So there's 2 at the bottom and 1 up here. So I have to either plastic weld the piece back on or get a new rear timing cover, or buy an IAG Stage X. Don't know which one's a better idea, but I think I actually do. So then you torque that down, the harmonic balancer. Then plug back in the fans, put the accessory belts on here, tension it, and you're all set. So let me do that real quick and be right back. All right, got the fans back in. If you have this in, you start with this one and you want to get the corner in, and then you gotta maneuver it in. It's It's actually pretty easy. I used to think it was pretty difficult, but you know, with practice makes perfect, as some people say. So, all right. Nope. Bam. Those are in. Now just the accessory belt, and this is done. Okay. So to tension it. Okay, with everything done, now we get in and we start it. Make sure it actually still starts. All right, car starts, all is well. And now we have a brand new timing belt, which we have the new components to go with it, the pulleys and water pump, but we'll rectify that soon. And I guess while we're doing that, we can take that off and then do the cover behind, because we have to take the cam gear off in order to do this. So that is something for another day. But yeah, thank you for watching and stay tuned.